Good evening. Everyone's so orderly tonight. Everyone was in the council chambers and ready to go. Congrats to all of you. I wanted to welcome you all to the 2016 Beautification Advisory Commission Award Ceremony. We're here to celebrate all of your hard work. Obviously, you do a great job keeping your property, your homes, your gardens, everything in tip-top shape, and we greatly appreciate that. And we want to be here tonight to congratulate you and give you awards and recognition for all of your hard work. So thank you for keeping your standards up high and keeping Oak Park beautiful. The City of Oak Park under Eric Tungate has been very diligent about trying to keep our properties up as well. So we've had a lot of initiatives that you've probably noticed out there. The Sunflower Initiative this year, I hope you all enjoyed that. That was kind of experimental on our part, but we put a lot of sunflower gardens up throughout the city, and I think it turned out very well for our first year. We're going to continue it. We thought it was a great success, and we think it really brought a lot of the area to life. So we're going to continue that, probably add some new ones here and there. We learned a lot about the process. Obviously, it was new to us, but sunflowers grow to the east. We didn't really know that, but we learned a lot. But I think it turned out well, and I think it really lifted up the spirits of a lot of people. So I hope that you all have appreciated that. And we've also added some planter boxes around the city. I hope that everyone got notice of those. They turned out really well. I think the plants grew a lot taller than I expected, and they looked really good. So I appreciate those efforts from all of the city employees that have worked on this. It was a lot of work, and like I said, it was new to all of us. So we feel it makes a big difference, and we're trying to keep up our end of the bargain too. So. A lot of other initiatives. So we're trying to get the businesses to take do their share too. So we have a facade improvement program. We've had 5 businesses that have been that are part of that program. A few of them have already completed their work. A few more are working on it. But we're really trying to keep everything up, our property, get the residential properties, and get the business properties. So I think we're succeeding in a lot of areas here. So we're really moving Oak Park forward. Our speaker this evening is Ronald Smith. He's the president of the Detroit Garden Center. He'll be discussing some gardening tips tonight. And Mayor McClellan and Mayor Pro Tem Burns will be presenting the awards this evening. The signs this year are kind of a celebration of our sunflower project. I hope you appreciate those. I think that they turned out very well, turned out very nice as well. With that, I'd like to introduce our beautification members. Now, they do a lot of things throughout the year to keep up the beautification efforts throughout the city, and that includes the flower sale in the spring, so please come visit us at the flower sale. It's Memorial Weekend, a Sunday of Memorial Weekend every year. Please come out and support the Beautification Commission by purchasing flowers. And they also do some litter campaigns and things like that throughout the year, so we appreciate all those efforts. And then they come and hop on a bus and spend probably 5 or 6 evenings of their time going around evaluating all the homes through the city and nominating all of your homes for these awards. So I would first like to introduce our chairperson, Retha Richmond, our vice chair, Lonnie Tab Upshaw, Maddie Boykin, Karen Davis Harris, Carrie Dobbs, Danielle Fracassa, Cynthia Gwynn, Brenda Mosley, and Joyce Schulman. They went out on the evenings, and we had a lot more award winners this year, so that's, I think, a good sign. Normally we have in the 60s. This year we had 87 winners, so congratulations to all of you. I'd like to thank a few people and departments that help out and put this together, namely Tiffany, bless you, Tiffany Brown and Jatanya out in the hall that were signed everyone in. They really do a great amount of work putting the programs together and all the RSVPs and getting everything out. So I greatly appreciate their work on it. Our community engagement and public information departments, IT departments, in particular Benny White and AFTAB Borka, who are going to be doing the taping, and they put together the slideshow. So there's a lot of work that went into it, and they took all the photos too of all your homes. And obviously, we want to recognize the mayor and our city council. So Mayor McClellan and Mayor Pro Tem Burns, thank you very much. Now I'd like to welcome up Ronald Smith from the Detroit Garden Center. He's the president of the Detroit Garden Center. He's going to talk about the work that they do and offer some insight onto some gardening tips.
Good evening and congratulations to everyone who's getting an award tonight. I do love the signs. I might take one on my way out. I could use something in my yard in Detroit. So I'm envious to have all these great yards in the city of Oak Park compared to some of our areas in our city of Detroit. But we're working on it slowly. It's been there. I've been there since '82. And it's gone up and down, and I think we're on an upswing again, so we'll hope this one lasts. I'm president of Detroit Garden Center. I've been president for 6 years. We're a nonprofit organization that started in 1932. We were started by the Garden Club of Michigan, and our goal in the city is to beautify the city through educational programs, a resource center for people to come get information that they need, and then to help people with problems they may have with gardening. We provide tours, we have educational classes, we have like gardening seminars, different things. Like we're having a tool cleaning and sharpening class on Saturday down at the center on Jefferson Avenue. So people can learn how to clean their tools and sharpen them. We have machinery and everything for people to do that. We have a huge horticultural library, which is very much in disarray at this time. We're trying to put it online because we have books that are very valuable from the 1800s that we'd like people to use. But today, libraries, are become a thing of the past. So we're trying to figure out how we can get people to use that. We started out in the White House on Belle Isle. So that was right by the aquarium and the greenhouses. So we're trying to get back in this location where people can walk in our door. We used to have a shop because we sell trout and different things there. So, but we don't get that much traffic now because we're in a building that you need to be led into. We have two main outreach programs. One is Alternatives for Girls. It's on Martin Luther King Boulevard and West Grand Boulevard near Michigan Avenue. And it's a home for girls who have been kicked out of their homes. And there's girls that live there in the home. And then we do a program in the summer for at-risk girls from the neighborhood from 6 to 10 years old, and we teach vegetable and herb and flower gardening. So in the summer we have 24 raised beds at the center that we use and teach from. And then we have a native plants garden that's over an acre in size, and you can visit this if you ever go down on the DeQuinder Cut. It's 2 blocks up from the river at Woodbridge Street and the DeQuinder Cut. It's right there in the corner on the southwest corner, and it's on the slope of a hill, so you can't miss it. And it's starts from Jefferson down to Woodbridge and then along Woodbridge. And we're in the process, our 6th year, and it's really coming along well. And it's all native plants, so when we plant, if it doesn't survive, oh well, we have to keep working that way. So it's been a real chore, especially this year. The DeQuinder Cut flooded, and so we lost a lot of the things in the one corner, but we're working on trying to get it back and what it looks like. We do a lot of tours. Retha was asked what tours we're doing next year. Next year we're going to take a 5-day tour to Boston area for gardens, and we do a lot of private gardens as well as public gardens, and we will fly and everything's an all-inclusive trip. And then we do usually a 1-day garden tour somewhere in the Detroit area. Next summer we'll be in the city of Detroit, so that will be in August. And our newsletter's out there if you want interested. We have lots of information in here. So in January, we're having, January 21st, we have our annual full-day classes of gardening workshops at Holy Trinity on Gratiot Avenue by Eastern Market. So if you're interested in that, look at our website, and the information will be on it in December for that class. So I didn't know what to talk about. Retha said, do whatever you wanted. I thought, wow, there's so many things I could talk about. I think, well, it's the end of the season. I'm going to talk about chips for you and for your garden. And some of the things that people never think about is clothing and what you're wearing when you're gardening. I can't tell you enough how important it is to wear a hat and sunscreen, no matter what your skin tone is. The sun is very warm these days with the ozone layer the way it is, and I think more and more people are discovering that the lack of sunscreen is causing them skin issues. So wearing a nice hat, visor, whatever you want, is great, and proper clothing. When we have people help us with our work on the Quinter Cut or at the AFG, we always stress, come prepared to garden. If you're going to work with plants, especially if you're cutting plants back, we ask people to wear long sleeve shirts. Because so many plants today, you may not think you're allergic to, but you may get a rash from. And having a long sleeve shirt and gloves, it really helps prevent things of that nature. Wearing boots is a great thing, because if you're going to dig with a shovel, wear a hard-soled boot, because tennis shoes are not good for your heels, for your arches of your feet. And long pants is a must when we're working out on the cut, because of the type of plants we're working with. Especially there's native plants or some invasives that get in there we're trying to keep hold of. So gloves, of course. There's all different kinds of gloves for different kinds of things. For weeding, I like a nice thin pair of gloves. For if I'm using tools, I like a heavier pair of gloves. And I have different kinds of gloves, and I always keep them in a special spot in the garage, so I know they're right where they're at. Insect repellent. Believe it or not, last week we had a work day at the AFG Gardens, and I had to get out the insect repellent for everyone that was there, because for some reason we had mosquitoes. And I thought, wow, you wouldn't think we'd have this time of year, but we were infested with them, so I'm glad I had it. Keeping hydrated is really important. And avoid sugary drinks when you're out working in the garden. I mean, so many people like to have a Coke. A beer's okay once in a while when you're almost done. But, Cokes, a lot of these sugary drinks, flavored drinks, are really just not very good for you when you're outside working. And, get ready for gardening. You're winter time, we're pretty sedentary, we don't do much. We start thinking about, you're going to be out there stretching, you're going to be bending, you're doing things that you normally don't do. So I suggest yoga is the best thing. That's what we practice. But also, if you can't get down on the floor, chair yoga is a great thing to do. Begin walking or continue walking throughout the winter. It really helps do some strengthening exercises throughout the year, because remember, gardening, you're doing a lot of strengthening work and a lot of stretching and bending. And this will help with when you start in the spring, you go, oh, am I so tired, I'm so sore. And then you start taking the Tylenol or whatever you take to get that over. Remember, when you're bending, use your knees when you're picking up things. Don't just bend over and kind of grab things. So think of your back and your whole body when you're out there working. It really helps. Tools is another thing that people just kind of don't think about. But that's why this tool class on Saturday is so important. When some of the tools that people bring in, I'm thinking, I don't know how they ever worked, because they are so dirty and so dull. And keeping your tools up to date, clean, and ready really makes your gardening experience much more fun and much more pleasant. You should always keep them clean. When you finish with them, you should wipe them off with, especially a cutting tool or pruning shears or something like that. Always wipe off the blades with alcohol, or these disinfectant wipes now, because plants that you're cutting or trimming back may have a fungus or some type of disease, and if you go and you trim something else, it's going to transfer it on. If you're cutting back, like peonies is one thing, because they're fungus, they have a fungus on them, so you never cut the peonies with the same use those pruners on another plant, because you're passing that fungus from that plant, from the peonies, to the other plants. Raspberries are another thing. If you grow any type of fruit, raspberries are another thing that have a fungus. So you got to be very careful of that. And if you're cutting trees too, because if you're trimming a tree with a pruner and your blade has something on it, and you're cutting it, that membrane around the very edge of the bark is going to absorb some of those bacteria and fungus. So you got to make sure that you don't transfer that to a tree branch. Always keep them clean and sharpen. Even like shovels, you should clean them before you put them away. Don't put them away in the garage dirty or in your shed wherever you keep them, because when you go back to use them again, you got all this caked mud or soil on there, and it's nice when you have a clean tool. Make sure you have kneeling pads and benches. People like to use, I know a lot of people that use little benches or chairs when they're working in a garden. It really helps their back. I love kneeling pads. And I know a lot of people now buy the drywall pads that people, or roofing pads, and they wear those when they're working in the garden so you get up and down. Carts and wags to tote your big tools around, and also nice little totes to carry your tools around so they're all right there. You don't have to go looking for them. And I have a friend of mine who's got the greatest thing. She has in her garden a mailbox. And it's right in with all her flowers. It's really pretty. She's got it painted really beautifully. And she keeps all her trowels, her hand pruners, and a pair of gloves in there. So when she goes out in the garden and she's walking, oh, I'm going to cut some flowers, I'm going to deadhead this, her tools that she needs are right there. She doesn't have to run into the garage and get them. And then she puts them back in. They stay nice and dry. And she usually keeps wipes in there too to wipe them off. Using the right tool for the right job. It's fun when we go out and we help people in the community sometimes, what people are using to do different kinds of tools. Make sure that the tool fits you. It fits your hand. There's a lot of different types of trowels out there. But get a trowel that's not too heavy, that's going to do the job that you want to do. And remember, in trowels, there's all different kinds of trowels for different kinds of jobs. There's not this universal trowel for everything. So make sure you got a trowel that you can use. Shovels and rakes. Some people have these huge long rakes and they're not very tall, the person themselves. So they have this rake that's handle is always in their face, and you get something that's more for your size. When you're buying pruning tools, test them out if you can. Make sure that you're holding them at the right. Your wrist is not. You're not twisting your wrist or things like that to help prevent injury to your wrist. When you're cutting with large pruners for trees and things, remember to cut the size that it says. Don't go bigger. So many people want to use a larger, like trim a branch that's really big with a thing that's only made for 2 inches or a 3-inch branch. So make sure you get the tools that work with that. But always make sure your tools are clean. That's the main thing, and sharpen. And now's a good time to do it before you put it away for the winter. After you get your gardening cleaned up for the winter, put to bed. Make sure you put your tools to bed nice and clean and sharpen. And there's a lot of things online now how to do it. It's very easy. It doesn't take long. When it comes to lawns, I'm not a big lawn person, being a gardener. So the only thing I suggest for people for lawns is when you have garden beds, make sure that the edge of your bed is low enough so that you can run the lawnmower right along in your garden so that you're cutting and trimming the edges. You don't have to go around the edge or trim with hand trimmers and make your job much easier. One thing I always suggest to people is start taking pictures. And I say start taking pictures of your garden in January. And you should take pictures of your garden throughout the year, because you want to see what it looks like in January. You want to see what it's going to look like in February, because when you're planting things, you want winter interest. Because if you're looking at your yard, you want to see what's out there. You may want to put some ornaments out there in the holiday season. You may want to add something to Valentine's Day. So you think, well, what can I add to my garden? What kind of a plant or tree or shrub can I add that's going to let me put some interest in my garden when there's no leaves or no flowers out there? And then also, remember, if you have spring bulbs that are going to come up, they're going to be gone when you start planting annuals. Well, where were they? So if you make a map and flower and a map and pictures of this in your garden, oh, I remember that. So when I go to plant again in the fall, like I'm going to plant some daffodils for a client this year, and last year I luckily took a picture of what was there, so I know what bulbs are already there. So that when I go to plant next week, I'm going to say, oh, I can't plant there. This is my goal where I need to plant over here. And when you're planting bulbs also, remember, you know, if you want great daffodils, buy the naturalizing ones because they'll continue growing. You don't have to do anything with them. Tulips are another issue because they're only going to last a few years and then they need to be dug up and rusted, or you just need to get buy new ones. Also, I suggest when you buy plants, keep a notebook. And I always put the tag on a paper and I write down the date I bought the plant, when I planted it, and sometimes I make a notation where I planted it if it's a plant I'm not familiar with. And then I keep it in a notebook so that I can remember where things, that people come over, oh, I know what that is, or if I don't remember what it is. And also, it gives you an idea if something was not successful, then when you go back to the garden center again, you don't buy that plant. And when you go to the garden center, and big box stores are great for this, selling plants that are not made for our zone and for our area. So make sure you really know what you're buying and if it's going to survive here, and if it's not going to become an invasive. Because many times people are planting, the big thing now is bamboo. Well, bamboo is like a tremendous invasive, and it really takes over quickly, just like lilies of the valley, and like myrtle and pachysandra. They are invasive plants. Even though they're great ground covers, they are invasive, and it's really hard to control them because once they're in the ground, they're on the way. Just like people like, oh, I love mint. Well, sure, plant mint, but plant it in a bucket and sink it in the ground so the mint's going to stay in that bucket and not travel to other places, so you have nice mojitos, and mint for your mojitos throughout the summer. But because mint will take over a garden completely. When you're thinking of dry, you're going, oh, I want small items. When it says dwarf, it's going to be dwarf if you keep it dwarf. Because not all things are going to stay dwarf. Because many plants, after a while, will revert back to their original cultivar that they came from. So they're going to maybe become a big plant again. So make sure you think about what you're really looking at and you go, well, if I'm going to buy this plant, then it's my responsibility to take care of it. Let's see. Make paths throughout your gardens. If you have large flower gardens, make sure you have paths to walk through so you're not stepping on other plants. You're not hindering yourself by maybe tripping or falling over something. So if you make paths to get through that, and people aren't going to see them if you make them nice and with stones or whatever, or little paths or stepping stones or something, and it makes your gardening much easier. And you can get to weeds that are back there. You can prune back there. You can deadhead back there, and it's going to help your garden. Raised beds. We all get to an age that we think, oh, maybe I should think of some more raised beds in my garden because it's a lot easier for gardening, especially for vegetable gardening, because it makes it easier for that. Add vegetables to your flower gardens. I mean, pepper plants are beautiful. Eggplants are great in the garden. I always put my herbs, basil and rosemary and parsley in my flower garden because they're all annual, so they're only going to be there for a short time, and then I have them for the summer, and I know where they're at, and they always look good. And when I'm watering, when I'm out there trimming, I can always take some in for dinner. And when you harvest herbs, remember to harvest them early in the morning because that's when they have the most oils are in them. Once they heat up and the sun hits the herb, the oils go back into the stem of the plant, not in what you're going to be eating, so you lose some of the flavors with the herbs. Prune woody plants in the winter because there's no leaves on them. You can see the shape, you can see the structure, you can see when two limbs are hanging over, rubbing, when one's rubbing on the other. You don't want that because the rubbing together is going to cause a fungus and cause a fungus to grow, so you don't want that. So make sure you trim in the winter. It's much easier. Especially trees. Trees is the best thing to do in the winter. Mulch. I can't tell you how much important mulch is. It just helps keep the weeds down, helps with the watering issue, and it just makes things look very nice. Compost if you can. You know, I don't know if you're able to compost. Can you compost in the city of Oak Park? Because some cities can't, but I mean that's a great thing to do. I mean, when you think about how much you throw away in your kitchen every day, of, scraps from vegetables and fruits. They're great in your garden. Let's see. Water conservation, that's another thing we really need to be thinking about. I mean, this past summer was a really a tough one, especially for when you're growing vegetables. So think about when you're planting, what you're going to use, especially if it's flowers. Are they going to be drought resistant? Are they drought tolerant? Because so many things like impatiens, I'm glad impatiens had that fungus that they got, because they required a lot of water. And so many other plants out there that are just as beautiful as impatiens that don't require that enough, a large amount of water. Watering takes time too, and think about, do I have a lot of time to water? In a lot of gardens, especially flower gardens, you don't want to put a sprinkler system on them, because you don't want the leaves to get wet. Just like vegetables, you really don't want to wet the leaves. You want to wet the soil, because especially in the evening, if you wet leaves and things, sometimes people get a fungus on them. Remember to provide little water dishes for birds and for butterflies in your garden, because if you have a butterfly visiting, especially monarchs, which you don't have that many right now, it's great that they have a place for water. And then if you can also make a little shelter for them, because they need to get out of the rain and out of the sun sometimes, so make sure you have a shelter for them if you have a butterfly garden. You can use watering systems too for containers, which is great. My neighbor has that on her patio. She has all her containers, have little tubes run into them, so that's how she waters her containers. Remember that gardening keeps you more flexible. It's a cardio thing, so if you're out there working in the garden, you're getting cardio exercise, but also it's strengthening too. So throughout the winter, you should be lifting little weights. If you're going to be out there in this thing in 2 months, I better start lifting some weights so I'm up to the job. It reduces stress. I mean, how much better do you feel when you've been out in the garden for a while? I mean, just for 10 minutes, just walking around, observing what's happening in the garden, I think is a great thing. And that's what we try to stress with the girls, young girls we're working with, how pleasant it is to be in the garden. And they become great weeders, by the way. That's one thing they have to learn how to do. They have to identify weeds and know how to dig them out. And then also remember that you use 340 calories per hour for a 150-pound person when you're gardening. So that equals like 1 hour of low-impact aerobics. So just think, when you're gardening, you're doing as much as a person next door who's bouncing on a trampoline or doing whatever they're on a treadmill or something like that, because you're doing just as much as they are, and you're using more of your body, and you're clearing your mind. So I hope that I gave you some tips for next year. And also, now's the time to clean up your garden, get ready for the winter, and think about your garden now winter. I do. I'm constantly thinking, oh man, I really don't like that one bed in the corner. I should really start thinking about what I want to do with it. And then I start looking at investigating plants. What's online? What's new? And it's fun to go different places like Rakers. Have you ever been to Rakers Trial Gardens over near Bronson, Michigan, near Battle Creek? They have trial gardens there, and they're fabulous. We were there this summer again, and it's mostly annuals. But if you want to if you're into petunias, they will have all the petunias they have all in one huge bed by every color. And then they have the newest ones also there, so you can see what's coming. And I got some great ideas for gardens, for containers next year by looking at all these things. So look at gardening magazines. Pick up Mission and Gardener magazine. I'm not sure if the city has it here. It's, but they may have it, because libraries usually have it, because that's a great magazine. It's published from April through November. So there's a lot of great information in there. And then start looking online. There's always things online about flowers, or go to the library and get some books. There's some great books out there about gardening. So, but I hope we have a great winter, and then I can't wait to see your gardens. I want to see I do have pictures of them, I hope. So I want to see some of these gardens. So, but I want to thank Aretha for inviting me. She's my buddy from the Beautification Commission of Southeast Michigan. That's how we met several years ago. So she invited me today. So I hope I appease you this evening, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the tips. I think it was very informative for me, so I hope everyone got something out of it. And now I'd like to call up Mayor McClellan and Mayor Pro Tem Burns. I think Mayor McClellan is going to say a few words, and then we're going to start handing out the awards.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager Yee. We want to thank him and his department. There was a woman who had lived in Oak Park for 40 years, and she said to me, Oak Park has never looked this good. Can we give Director Yee and his department a huge hand? When I go around, people from other cities are noticing our sunflowers that we planted. I don't know if you know, but this started with the school children. That the DPW guys took pods of dirt around to the different classrooms. Each kid got to plant a sunflower, and they thought, little sunflower seed, it wasn't much. But then all summer, they watched some of them grow as tall as, up there, and that was pretty impressive. And then at the end, it went back to the school children because the art teachers used some of them as cut flowers, and the children painted them. So it came full circle, and if we can get the sunflower paintings to display here, you'll see them when you come to City Hall. So that was just a wonderful project thought of by our city manager, who grew up on the west side of the state where all the cities have lots of flowers. And Oak Park had been a cement desert. You'd go to other cities, you'd see flower pots hanging, and you'd come here and there's nothing. So we wanted to change that up. And I think we've done it tremendously, and keep watching because there will be more and more. I just had a meeting of the Corridor Improvement Authority, and money will be set aside for beautifying our commercial district, so that we want to attract more wonderful stores to Oak Park, stores that we want to shop at and that other people want to shop at, and part of it is making it look gorgeous. Also down the road is a 9-mile between Coolidge and Ferndale. They're going to be sprucing that up into a small linear park. A linear park is what you see down by the river. That's a huge one. But we're doing a smaller one, and that's in the works, something we can all look forward to. Basically, I want to thank you and your family members who helped you with the gardens, because we're sprucing up the city. If I see a stick sticking out of the bottom of a tree, it just grinds me, and so I nudge people and they cut them down, and we've got mulch around the trees, and people don't always notice what exactly we've done, but you just notice that somebody cares. Somebody cares about that city, and I think that's what your gardens tell about your home, that somebody there cares, and they're willing to do, I don't have to tell you how much work, every day for months and months and months to make it look just perfect. And if it didn't look wonderful, you wouldn't be sitting here. So congratulations and thank you for your work. You're improving what's called curb appeal. It is increasing the value of your home to have a beautifully kept garden. Not only that, but your neighbor should be thanking you, because your garden is improving the value of his home and the neighbor down the block. And then it's a little catchy. When somebody starts really taking care, sometimes it catches on in the neighborhood. It's like blight catches on, that if it's run down, that everything gets run down. And this is the opposite. We are going in the opposite direction. We've hired from 2 to 5 code inspectors. We've more than doubled the code department, holding landlords responsible for keeping the property up to Oak Park standards. We're not allowing it to run down. We're getting a lot of complaints from landlords, but we just smile and tell them that's how we do it in Oak Park. So I want to thank you for what you're doing to improve the city. And I'd like to introduce Mayor Pro Tem Carolyn Burns, who's going to help me pass out the awards. And then Director Yee, when are they going to pick up their sign?
Immediately following, we'll have the signs available.
In the hall. So the sign will be available in the hallway, and it's the sunflower sign, which is people from other cities, is what I was going to tell you before. People from Huntington Woods who aren't used to saying, wow, Oak Park, you know, are suddenly looking and saying, boy, does that look wonderful. And, you know, well, you know, keep up with the Joneses, and we're the Joneses. What can I tell you? So without further ado, we'll start. We'd like you to, which path are they taking?
Then come up the middle.
Come up the middle?
Yep, get the award.
Get the award and come on around this way then.
Thank you.
Okay. So everybody is going to get one of these beautiful awards. The following resolution was passed by the City Council of the City of Oak Park, Michigan, upon the recommendation of the Beautification Advisory Commission at the regular City Council meeting on September 6th, 2016. Whereas the Mayor and City Council of the City of Oak Park wish to express on the behalf of the city their appreciation in recognition of outstanding service to the community in the area of aesthetic care and beautification. The above named has furthered these ideals that contribute to a better community. That's you. The Mayor and City Council express the city's appreciation in recognition for services performed, and that a copy of this resolution be presented to the above named. So and it's signed by the Mayor Pro Tem, and the City Council members, Keisha Speech, Solomon Radner, and Ken Rich. And suitable for framing. So these are kind of rare in a town with 12,000 houses. To be among the 87 best is kind of an achievement. So first, we'll like to call up James and Kathy Angerer. Did we pronounce that right? Thank you. Congratulations. And I think they'll probably keep them going that way, and then you can go.
Newly appointed member of the Beautification Committee, Ms. Idella Bailey.
Yeah, go around that way. There you go. Pete Benner.
Mr. and Mrs. Biddles.
Gardens and Dances. Congratulations. Thank you. Jerry and Joyce Bone.
Yeah, Mumford Mustangs. Woo-woo. Clarissa Clemens.
Mr. Ephraim Dalla. And associate.
Clyde and Linda Day.
Linda DeUlius.
Jean, Emile, and Mackenzie Duplessis.
And she helped in the yard. Robert and Dorothy Felder.
Alfred L. Gilbert.
Congratulations. Beverly A. Groom.
Nace, Marian, and Lamont Hicks.
Edward and Lavana Howard.
Congratulations. James C. and Renice Johnson.
Thank you. Gay Kilgore, former member of the commission, now can get an award. These hardworking gardeners.
Jay and Lisa LeBlanc.
And associate, yes. Godfrey and Renita Madkin.
Hattie Matthews.
Michael, Donna, Michael Jr., and Nicholas. This is a gardening team. Nice that you got everybody with you. Can you shake hands? Good job. Nice.
Congratulations. Willie E. Miller. And associate.
Leon and Mary Mitchell.
Philistina Mitchell.
Leon and Carol Moore.
Mrs. Janice Teresa Craig Plummer.
Edward and Katie Posey.
Stan and Cynthia Randall.
Richard and Patricia Sherman.
Congratulations. Deborah Slappy.
Revoidia Slide.
Congratulations. Harriet Saffarin.
What school?
Mumford.
Mumford.
79.
All right, I'm not saying. That's Robert and Cheryl Stone.
Congratulations. Mark and Narcy Strong.
'90 old on his birthday and still winning. Gloria L. Thomas. That's the Queen way.
Ricardo and B.J. White.
Congratulations. Sylvia Yuhana.
Great Lakes Landscaping.
I had Great Lakes redo the front of my house, and people don't even recognize it when they drive up to it. So go by and see Great Lakes and get some ideas. And last but not least is Robin Samuels. another tradition is there anyone who won the award for the first time? Would you stand if this is your first time? First-time winners. Wow. Has anybody gotten 2 awards? Anybody 3? Uh, 4 or 5? Whoa. Between 5 and 10? Serious? Whoa. Between 10 and 15? Serious? Oh my gosh. Between 15 and 20? Whoa. Did I miss anybody? 25. 22. For the newcomers and the long-standing gardeners, we love you. We appreciate what you've done. Keep up the good work, and we hope to see you here again next year. Thank you. Retha Richmond has some closing remarks that she would like to deliver.
Good evening. You know, she stole all the words I had to say about those awards, but I got something even different later on. But I truly like to thank our mayor. She's done a wonderful job with the city for all her work, and the protein Burns is doing a wonderful job. And the DPW, he don't like for me to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. He is doing a wonderful job with him and his crew. If you notice, the summer was very hot and dry, but those big planters on each corner is always green and beautiful with the water in here, guys, the water them, and it really look nice. And the sunflowers, I didn't realize that they would communicate with the sun. I'd be driving down the street, and the sunflower look at the sun. And then overcast, you know, they bow their heads and wait until the sun come out, and they come out again. Have you noticed that? Okay, all right. He is gone, Mark is gone, okay. Now, I wanna do a little something here. I wanna give away something. But you're gonna have to work for it. How many of you have one of the program like this? Get your program out. If you're like me, you got to get your glasses so you can see. At the very bottom, you're going to see BAC. It's in red. Where's the mom? Where's the mom? You have it? At the very, just look at it really good on the front, back, and in the center. You have it? She have it. Oh, now where's the mom?
By the seal, it looks like.
Well, she have the other one. How nice. Where's the mom? It's the 2 moms that's outside. They're gonna bring them in here? I'm gonna bring them and give it to them? And I'm gonna ask all the commissioners to stand and give a round of applause to all of you for keeping Oak Park moving forward. Thank you very much.